Hi, everybody. This is Melanie Votaw, author, ghostwriter, editor, and book coach. And today I am super excited to speak to my friend Erin Stutland, who has a book coming out with Hay House in January, and it's available already for pre-sales. So I hope once you hear about this book that you'll want to go and get it ready to be sent to you as soon as it's released in January, either by Kindle or mail. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Erin. I've got my little sheet here. Erin is a life coach and fitness expert. She's taught live shrink session classes in New York and other places that she travels to. Her method is like Tony Robbins meets Tracy Anderson or Louise Hay meets Jillian Michaels, if you can imagine that. She'll tell us more about that. She has tens of thousands of subscribers. And I know for those of you who are looking to write books, she is somebody to emulate because it's very impressive, the following that she has. She has people from more than 35 countries. She's the co-host and trainer on the TV show Altered, which is on the Z Living Network. If you haven't seen this, you should look it up. She helps engaged couples lose weight in preparation for their big day. And it's a very touching show, actually. She's partnered on programs with New York Times bestselling authors Chris Carr and Jessica Ortner. And she's contributed work to John Gabriel's well-known weight loss program. She's taught at Omega, the Omega Institute. Most of you, I think, know where that is. Alongside Jessica Ortner, and she's been in all kinds of magazines: Shape, Self, Glamour, Real Simple, Reader's Digest, Yoga Journal. She's also been an actress and a dancer for many years, and she's been on Sex and the City, The Sopranos, Chappelle's Show, As the World Turns. She's got online programs, including Magical Manifestors and The Soul Stroll. And I'm going to let Erin tell you the title of her book that's coming out.
The book is called Mantras in Motion: Manifesting What You Want Through Mindful Movement.
So tell us what this means. Tell us what Mantras in Motion really is.
Mantras in Motion is a book that helps you take all of the philosophies that probably, if you're watching this video, you're very familiar with some of with all the philosophies in the self-development world. So anything from courage to inspired action to compassion to desire. And it helps you take those concepts and really get them into your body so that you are not just intellectually thinking about them, but you're actually living them out. You're living them, you're breathing them, your muscles, your cells, everything every part of you understands what it means to be and feel courageous on a regular basis. And the way in which we do that through the book is through a series of stories. There's journaling, there's meditations, but the thing that makes the book really different is at the end of each chapter, I give a movement practice, and you are doing movements while you are saying mantras out loud. So you're putting the mantras into motion, the mantras, the positive affirmations, the positive and powerful mindset. You're putting that into motion so that it's not just an intellectual idea, but it's something that you really can feel and live out so that you can manifest what it is that you want in your life.
I helped Erin a bit with this book, and so I know it really well. And what I love about it is it's truly holistic. I mean, you really are using everything you have to create what you want.
Yeah.
You're not just writing it down. You're not just, as she said, you're not just thinking about it. You really are using your body and all of the energy of your body to create it. So I think it's a really exciting concept to add to what's out there about manifesting. How has it worked for you personally and also for people that you work with?
Well, for me, I when I got out of college and I moved to New York and I was looking to, create the life that I really wanted, I struggled because I felt like I would take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. I struggled really, I think, primarily with my own mindset. So I would get really excited about something, really enthusiastic, and I would make a plan for it. But then I'd come up against my own, self-doubt or fear was obviously a big one, my own resistance, right? My own perfectionism.
Yeah.
And I would keep coming up against these things, and I felt like I just couldn't really move the ball forward. And I think some of that was my own deeper subconscious limiting beliefs. But okay, so great. So then you understand what your limiting beliefs are. How do you then change them, right? Create new beliefs. And it was around that time that I started doing some work that involved both the body and the mind together, so that these new beliefs that I was working on creating, they were put in motion. And I just noticed that the more I did that, the more the lower my dips would be, I'll say. We all have dips in life, right?
Sure.
It's natural. It's absolutely part of life. It's how long do those dips last, right? How severe are they? And I noticed that the more that I was moving with these mantras and these positive thoughts, the shorter my dip, the shorter those dips would last, and they weren't quite as deep. And so then it gives you, then what happens is you have this great momentum, and you can keep it going forward, as opposed to taking those 2 steps back, 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. Then you're taking, 2 steps forward, maybe just 1 step back, and then you're taking 2 steps forward and another 2 steps forward.
Right.
This method really had a huge impact on my life. And I began to teach it. I began to incorporate it into all aspects of my life. And it's really what I built my business on, both from live classes and workshops into online products and programs.
Let me look at my little list of questions here that I wrote down for you. I know a lot of people watching this are aspiring authors. So can you tell us a little bit about how you built the big following that you have and how long it took?
Yeah, so my process was actually quite organic, because I started teaching live classes before I think, certainly it was, I think, before Instagram existed. It was before, everyone was doing online products and programs. So I really started by in-person, and I would at the time, I actually was teaching at Equinox, which is a gym in New York City. And at the end of class, I would say, who wants to be on my mailing list? Like as simple as that. And they would literally write down their email, and then I would go home and I would put it into my whatever mail server I was using. Maybe it was just even a notebook. No, it was, it was just my Gmail contacts. That's all it was at the beginning. And so that's really how it began. And that was, about 10 years ago that I started building it again, very organically, through live interactions, through live classes. And then about maybe 3 years into teaching and then starting these workshops, I studied with a coach who some people here watching may know, Marie Forleo, and I did her mastermind program. And through work with her and being surrounded by other women who were really creating these beautiful online businesses, I learned how to do that. And that's how I slowly, transitioned and began to create online products, and then start to build a following in the online world.
And you have YouTube as well, right?
Yeah, I started in the beginning. I was doing, YouTube videos, and I was playing with doing more. And then, I think the thing that perhaps this is helpful for those who are watching, I think you kind of, you try a little bit of everything. And then I think you have to decide what you really want to put your energy and attention on. So, because there's so many options, right? You could be doing Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and Pinterest and blah, 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 And I think for me, I had to really narrow down and how I wanted to spend my time and energy. And you have to trust that, and you have to kind of go all in on the thing that you feel best about, as opposed to feeling like you got to do everything and be, everything to everyone at all times.
Yeah, that's good advice. When you were writing the book, I know I didn't mention to you, I was going to ask you this. So when you were writing the book, what was the most challenging thing?
I think the most challenging thing was that I had all these different ideas and concepts, stories, exercises, and trying to make them sort of, how do they all fit together, quite frankly? How do they, when you're, as you're writing a book and you have chapters, right? So this book has 10 chapters, and each chapter is a different theme. So let's use courage as an example here. You look at some stories that that I've collected, that I've written, that I've blogged about, that I've shared, that I have my own personal experience, and you say, this seems like it falls under the courage umbrella. Does it? Does it work under courage? Does it make sense in this chapter? Does this journaling exercise help the reader understand courage better? And to me, that was the hardest part, was really figuring out what, you know, and it's a dance, because as you're figuring out the structure of the book, the first thing you have to do is decide what those umbrellas are. So you're like, is the umbrella courage or is it fear? You know what I mean? Like, which are, you know, two different sides of the same coin. So I think that was the hardest part, was really deciding how to take, you know, especially when you know, for me, I've had this business now for almost 10 years. How do you take 10 years worth of content, information, exercises, experiences, client testimonies, and put that into a cohesive book that really has a nice thread through it and makes sense?
Right. And
So
we're not
basically,
overloading
the
them.
whole, right. You're not overloading them. So basically what I'm saying is the whole thing was really hard.
Yeah, I think one of the hardest things is that so many topics can go under several different umbrellas, and you have
Yeah.
to figure out which one is the right one for it to go under. That's such a common problem. What was the most fun part about writing the book?
Well, you know, also I'll say another thing that was hard for writing the book for me on a personal level was that I was pregnant, and I was also filming the second season of my TV show. So energy and time were an issue, you know, and you really do have a limited period of time of how, you know, how long you have to write this, and you have to create a lot of content in a short period of time. So you want to be able to dedicate a lot of your energy to it, which, you know, when you have limited energy because you're a growing human, that was also challenging. But with that, I think, you know, when I was able to have the space to really create and dive into some of the stories, and I actually really loved, you know, fleshing out some of my own personal stories that had been wanting to tell for so long, and never had the opportunity to write them down, or had never turned them into a blog post. And blog form is so different; it's so much shorter. And you know, book form, you have to you sort of get the opportunity to flesh things out a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I think that was the most fun for me, was getting the opportunity to tell some new stories.
And last week you did, am I hearing Quinn in the background there?
Yeah. That's a little baby that came
Erin's
about
baby.
it. Yeah.
She's almost a year old. She's coming up on it pretty soon.
Coming up on a year. Yeah, November.
I can't believe it.
I know. Crazy.
Yeah. So last week you had the chance to do the audio version of the book, right?
Yeah.
And it sounds like it was fun from your posts on social media. It sounded like it was fun.
It was so much fun. It was, you know, I got to record at the Cutting Room, which is really had some of the most amazing artists. Actually, I didn't even realize, but I was in the same studio as Ben Harper and Charlie Musselwhite, which was amazing because I had just seen them actually in concert. But yeah, it was great. And it was really cool. You know, this is the other thing I think the other thing that's so hard about writing a book is that you're so in it for so long that and then you have to go and you have to edit it and reread it. And when you get the edits back from your editor, you have to like read your whole book in like 2 weeks, which is also really hard. And so you don't ever, it's through the process, it's so hard to step away from it. You're so, you know, in it that actually, so reading the audiobook was another opportunity for me to actually like almost, you know, because now I was kind of doing a performance of the book. So then, you know, now it's like, okay, now I heard the book in a different way than I do when I'm reading it in my own mind, because now I'm reading it out loud.
Right.
And of course, you know, I'm reading it and I'm like, oh, I should have changed that. I even the other day, like after reading it, and then I think I was taking a spin class, and I was just sort of thinking about things, and I was like, oh man, we did this all wrong. I could have.
Oh, really?
You know what I mean? I was like, I could have restructured this whole book, but I think that's just totally normal in any creative process. And I say that, and I love what has been created in the book. I love what I made. I really do. So I think that's also, you know, there's, as I said, now I'm like listing all the hard things. You asked me for the hardest thing, but you know, the other hard thing is like letting it go and being like, this is, you know, it's a living, breathing thing to a certain degree, but at a certain, you know, with a book, it's not like an online page that you can change. Like you have to be like, and now we're done. And this is the version, and we're going with this version, because there could have been another version and another version.
Mm-hmm. You know, yeah. I mean, it really is in some ways like a child sending them off to live its own life in a way.
Yeah.
But I find that with books that I've written that, you know, I get the hard copy in my hand, and it's all I can do to not grab a red pen. Being an editor,
Really?
like, oh, That could have been different. Yeah,
Right.
there's no end to that. That never
There's no
ends.
end to that. Yeah. Yeah. What do you tell people about that?
The same thing that you said. You have to let it go. There's at some point where you have to sign off on it,
Yeah.
and you have to let it go. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons, though, why you do need an editor, because, like you said, you get so in it.
Yeah.
And it's good when you have an editor at a publishing house, because then they will tell you in no uncertain terms if it needs more work. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and very often it does. They send it back, and they want some changes here and there, and that's just part of the process. But
Yeah.
it usually ends up being much better once that's happened.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I think so. You have to look at those corrections that it's only making it better. It certainly makes
exactly.
it challenging, but it will make it better.
Yeah, it's always challenging to see somebody else's take on your work.
Right.
It's not fun. That's
Right.
not a fun part of it. But you want it to be the best it can be, because then it's going to land on your readers the
Absolutely.
best and sell the best.
Yeah.
I'm going
Yeah.
to see if I can show the cover here.
Cool.
I'm going to try sharing my screen, and hopefully it'll work. Let's see. Um, where is it? Oh, it's not here. Well, I opened Facebook on another page, but it's not showing up. It's not showing up.
Do you have the
Um,
Amazon link?
yeah, I went to Amazon, but it's not showing up when I go to share
Oh.
um,
Oh.
as one of the pages that I can share
Oh, okay.
for some reason.
Oh. Maybe I can share my screen. Let's see.
See if you can do it.
Yeah. Let's
I
see.
may have to give you permission.
Share screen.
The sharing screen thing is always a little tricky.
Oh, here. Share screen. Okay. Do you
There
see
we
my?
go. Yes, there it is.
There
Okay,
it
so
is.
hopefully everybody can see that. Mantras in Motion, Manifesting What You Want Through Mindful Movement. I love the cover. I am really,
Yeah.
really excited about that.
Yeah,
And
me
it's going
too.
to be in hardcover, which is just so exciting. To
Yeah.
have your
And I,
first book be hardcover is really cool.
super cool. And also I was kind of excited to see that the price went down too. I think that's good. I just think it makes it more, that's the other thing with a book is like you don't have any when you're used to building online products and programs, you get to price your own thing. So with this, when it first came up on Amazon, I think it was listed at 27 maybe
Oh,
or
really?
29. Yeah. But
Yeah, that's a bit pricey. Yeah.
yeah, for a book, I think that's a lot. So I think people will be really excited. I feel like 16.50 is like a great price.
Yeah,
And
especially with something, because it has illustrations in it that show the
yep,
movements.
right. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I know you don't have a lot of time. So tell
Yeah, that's
us
okay.
tell us just a little bit more about going back to your book, and not
Yeah.
talking about writing books.
Awesome.
Tell us a little more about the topics in the book that you cover. I know you talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, so cover everything. We start out talking about desire because I think that's the most important thing when it comes to manifesting is what do you want? And are you letting yourself want what you really want? Or are you trying to push those wants and desires down? So
Yeah.
spend some good time on desire and understanding what it is you want. And to be clear, not just about this book is not just about manifesting more money or manifesting more things that you can collect in your external world. Those
Yeah.
things are great and of value, and we all want for things, which is nothing
Mhm.
wrong with that.
There's
But
the alarm.
okay.
So we have a few
um
more minutes.
yeah, it's perfect. But we really dive into also how you want to feel and what you want to create from an inner perspective, because I think I think there's certain days, a lot of now, particularly nowadays, I think people are like, you know what, I'm good with what I have, but I want to feel more confident,
Yeah.
or I want to be able to say no more easily. I don't want to second guess myself every time somebody asks me for something. So when we talk about desire, it's really about like, what do you want to see happen in your life, and how do you want to feel? What are the things that you want to experience? And so we talk about how you can really begin to cultivate that. And then I move into your beliefs. So, we can have these wonderful desires and intentions, but often, and we can even start taking action towards them. But as I mentioned, you could take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, often because your beliefs aren't in alignment, or they are not supporting and sustaining what it is that you want. So subconsciously, you say you want, a beautiful relationship, but subconsciously you are afraid of losing freedom, or you're afraid of intimacy. So we really dive into beliefs and what that means. I talk about taking inspired action and what it means to be inspired in your action, as opposed to forcing or feeling like you should move forward. I also talk about inspired action from a really practical standpoint, because I think sometimes people get really overwhelmed when they start moving forward on a project of any kind. So how can you begin to work with the natural energies of your body, the things that work for you, the time of day that works for you, how you like to take action. So I talk about action from a practical standpoint as well. I talk about courage in there, because that is one of the, there's obviously fear comes up so often. So I find I don't necessarily believe in fearlessness. I believe that fear is always there when we're moving forward, when we're taking risks. You're always going to have some sense of fear. So this is about, how do you have courage? And it begins by focusing on the courage that you already have today, because each and every one of you watching this, there is no doubt that every day you do something that is actually courageous that you don't realize you're doing. That's
even
courage.
just walking out the door. Right.
I mean, yes, oftentimes, or getting out of bed, often courageous.
Yeah.
So talk about courage. And I talk about, I think another one of maybe my favorite chapter is allowing, and how do you move yourself into, so you're taking the action, you have the courage, you're moving forward. Okay, now how do you meet that with allowing, and allowing yourself to receive and be in a state of acceptance of where you are, while also wanting more at the same time. So those are a few of the topics that I'm exploring in the book.
Yeah, and I think those are different from a lot of the books about manifesting. It's a real fresh take on the topic.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, I think so. I do.
Yeah. I'm excited. That's the other thing is with a book, and it's actually so nice, because I'm doing a lot of promotion for it, right? So I'm writing,
Yeah.
I'm doing podcasts and doing a bunch of things. And so you're talking about the content of the book itself, which is great. And I love talking about the content, but I also love talking about the process, right, of writing a book, which is so it's such a pleasure to get to talk to you about that. And I know that people listening want to hear about the process.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, then there's the aspect of, like, as I said, like, now that the book is out there, you're like, does this make sense? Is this going to work for people? Which is such a funny thing, because I've been creating.
You've been doing it with them.
I've been doing it, and it has had, but I've not yet done it. I think that's the thing that's so interesting, and I'm just being really vulnerable and honest, is that I've been doing it, and all my programs have had tremendous impact on people. So you put out a program, and you get the feedback, and you get the testimonials, and you see that people are having an impact, and you're like, oh, this works. Okay, then I'm going to keep promoting Magical Manifest. I'm going to keep promoting Shrink Session. Well, I've not written a book, and even though so much of what is in the book is stuff that I know works, because people have used it in different varieties of programs, there's still a part of me that's like, is this going to work for people?
Yeah, and you have to wait a while with the book. It's a longer process, so you've got to sit and wait until it gets out there, and then the feedback comes. Yeah, it's like making a film, right? As opposed to being on stage in the theater.
And and I think with I haven't had this feeling in so long, because I think when you're used to doing online products and programs and blogging, you kind of get used to it. You're like, okay, I know who's listening. I'm putting it out there. With a book, you really don't know whose lap it's going to land in, because I've never sold anything on Amazon. You're just like reaching other people. Then it's going to get recommended. Like, if you like this book, you might like this book. So Mantras and Emotions might come up, and so you're reaching a whole audience that I'm like, I don't know who's going to see it. And that's really interesting too.
Yeah, it's vulnerable, but it's exciting at the same time. It's that fear and courage dance that we do.
It's my opportunity to absolutely practice what I preach. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say before you have to go? About the book? I'm going to put a link at the top of this, so people can go pre-order it.
Yeah, you're linking to the Amazon, right?
Yes. Or do you want me to link to something else?
Well, I don't yet have a live sales page. We'll have that in a couple more weeks. But if you order it now, which you absolutely can do, you'll come back to my website, erinstutland.com/book. And there will be a page where we have some really great bonuses that I'll be giving away when you pre-order the book. So you can always put in your receipt retroactively into that page, and we'll send you the bonuses if you end up ordering it, between now and when that page goes live. So you can add that book link if you want to it, because maybe I'm imagining this will live there.
Right.
So
Yes,
the time some
exactly.
people see this, it will be live.
Right. And what I'll do once it's live, let me know, and I'll go in and I'll change the link so that anybody who sees it after the fact will go straight there. So yeah,
Perfect.
cool.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, well, this
Yeah.
was really
Yeah.
fun. Thanks for talking with me. I'm very excited about your book. I'm really
Yeah.
happy for you. And
Thank you.
yeah, I can't wait to have the physical book in my hands.
I know. Me too. I can't wait. Soon, soon, soon. Very soon.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome.
Well, thank you and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks, Melanie.
Okay, bye. Mwah.
Mwah.
Bye, everybody.